And lo, there was a miniseries called Kingdom Come. It did portray the end days of the DC superheroes, such as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Disaster did come upon them in the form of Magog. Many years later, the events of Kingdom Come were revisited in the Justice Society of America's second book. Magog was brought into the contemporary DC universe. And whoa, Magog was granted his own book, and the Last Angry Geek looked at the creative team and said it was good. But then the geek started to read the book, and he said, "What the hell is this crap?" And behold, there was a new episode of Comic Book Issues, and it reviewed DC's Magog, and the fans said it was good. Amen. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek. Now today we're going to review DC's latest badass superhero as we look at the first 6 issues of Magog. Now, Magog has a long history.
Book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Gog of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him.
Well, yes. Magog is first mentioned in the Bible, but in DC Comics...
Oh, Last Angry Geek?
Yes, Lord?
This exposition displeases me. Make it quick, will you?
Good idea, Lord.
Well, of course it's a good idea! I'm fucking God! Oh, and that interview with the Joker skit from your Green Lantern review really displeased me.
So I've heard. Could I get back to...
It sucked!
Alright, excuse me!
Ha! This guy's priceless! Good day, sir.
But God...
I said good day!
Wait. Anyway, Magog first showed up in the epic miniseries Kingdom Come. He was responsible for Superman retiring and then coming out of retirement when he accidentally causes the destruction of Kansas. His actions bring Superman back to the forefront of leading the superheroes.
After the miniseries, the character, indeed the entire Kingdom Come concept, lay untouched, with a few regrettable exceptions, like the Kingdom miniseries. That is, until Jeff Johns decided to relaunch the JSA as the new Justice Society of America series. Alex Ross, who had provided covers for the old book, also did covers for this new book and came on board as the co-plotter. Alex brought with him concepts for a cancelled sequel to Kingdom Come that meshed well with John's idea of the JSA becoming a team that trains the next generation of heroes. One of these concepts called for the arrival of a villain named Gog, who'd been introduced in the Kingdom and then brought back recently in Action Comics. It was retconned to explain that he was actually a servant of another Gog, a god who was a survivor of the Third World.
What the hell is that? Well, it's like the Fourth World, except with a hell of a lot less Jack Kirby, which is never a good thing. Just imagine Gog as a purple giant who grants wishes, and let's move on.
At the same time, the JSA recruits Lance, a descendant of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who, while serving as a Marine, finds an alien weapon that brands him with Gog's symbol and lets him shoot energy rays. Gog eventually chooses to make David his emissary after the previous Gog falls, and Magog is born. When Gog is revealed to be a threat to the Earth, Magog turns on his creator and helps the JSA beat him back, and this is where we begin the Magog series. Now when Magog starts, David is still in the JSA and coming to terms with his own superpowered abilities. He decides to take on threats that the heroes won't touch, such as Haitian warlords, only to discover that they're using cybernetic zombies to carry out their killings. Slaughtering mercenaries causes him to butt heads with Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, and drives home the point in his head that his time in the JSA can't last due to conflicting viewpoints on how to handle bad guys. We then meet the cue to his James Bond in the form of redneck information broker Axel Get Her Done Baines. As they try and trace the technology showing up in the hands of Third World dictators, we meet the man supplying those weapons, D.P. Macklin, who's dealing in ray guns and stealth suits. We also meet his ridiculously hot sidekick, Chelsea.
Hey, why is it so many young women in comic books have white hair, huh? Think about it. Storm, Ice, Silver Sable, the Black Cat. Are they all partial albinos, or there's just a lot of lazy colorists out there?
Meanwhile, a high-tech hit team is slaughtered by an army of homeless persons. One of these hitmen is a former soldier in arms of Magog's, and this leads him to Miasma, a villain who can control the homeless through his use of cybernetic implants. But Miasma escapes. So, needing an expert on mind control, Magog visits a federal prison named Haven, which has been disguised to look like an ordinary suburb.
Hey, who's that guy with the big head?
Why, it's Hector Hammond, a longtime Green Lantern villain.
Do people make fun of you now that you have a big head?
Oh, sure, people are naturally curious, but then I explain to them that I've got a really big head.
Hammond turns up nothing, and Magog kapows him for his trouble. This leads to him getting chewed out by Haven's warden, who turns out to be our mysterious tech supplier, Mr. Macklin. Magog eventually tracks down Miasma, who manages to take over Magog's mind just before an army of low-rent Iron Man bust up Miasma's underground empire. Magog takes a squat while the bad guys fight it out before surrendering to the Iron Men clones in the hopes of getting some answers. Things take a turn for the bizarre when the good old boy is visited by a woman named Alba, who claims to be Magog's mother. Meanwhile, it turns out that the tech that Miasma is using was provided by Flashpoint, the tech operation that Macklin leads. But since he turned on them, they've recaptured him to take back the tech, the hard way. Magog does the usual prison cell escape, freeing Miasma, who kills everyone just by shouting, "Die!" Everyone except Magog. And we learn that Chelsea is actually Alba's sister and playing the part of a bimbo scientist. Seriously, how did no one see through this charade? So she can manipulate Flashpoint to sow discord across the world so their empire can come in and take over. Macklin blows up the labs to kill Magog, but Magog's people zap him and Miasma away to their realm, Blighted Albion. Magog's mother and her bodyguard, who turns out to be Magog's wife, give him the grand tour, tell him his destiny is to destroy mankind, etc., then return him to the blown-up lab they abducted him from. Magog threatens Macklin, who stages a prison break, and calls in the JSA, framing Magog. The final chapter is told concurrently in Magog number 6 and JSA Annual number 2. The JSA shows up, Magog refuses to tell them what's going on. The JSA then beat up Magog, deal with the escaping supervillains. Power Girl finds out that Magog was set up. Macklin and Chelsea are seemingly blown up by the prison self-destruct, and Magog quits the JSA.
Well, what to say about these 6, nay, 7 issues? How to describe the hard work of DC Comics, Keith Giffen, Howard Porter, and their entire creative team that poured their hearts and souls into this book. How to sum it all up. Crap! It's crap! I went into this comic with high hopes. I'm a huge Kingdom Come fan. I mean, it's the only DC Absolute Edition that I own. I enjoyed this character during Justice Society and thought that once he freed himself from Gog and his potential Kingdom Come destiny, that he could go anywhere. I love Keith Giffen's writing, and Howard Porter, a former Justice League penciler, was making his comeback on this book. So what went wrong? First off, I'm going to let the art team off the hook. I actually enjoyed Porter's pencils on this book, although there were a few WTF moments.
Seriously, right here, why does no one notice that Chelsea is 10 feet tall?
If I have to point the finger of blame anywhere, sadly I must point at Keith Giffen. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a big fan of Giffen's work, from the old Justice League International to more recent hits like Blue Beetle or 52. But something just went wrong here. It's like he said, fuck it. This one I'm doing for the paycheck, and I'm going to phone it in like my middle name is Bendis.
The main character is ignorant of his own powers and history, and his arch-enemy is some white guy with a bad mustache. He fights a guy with mind control powers, escapes to a new dimension where the rulers expect him to help them take over the world, but are so dispassionately immortal and cold that they just let him go when he asks. And finally he gets framed for a prison break and quits his own team, thus limiting his sporting cast to a guy in a sleeveless plaid shirt.
What the hell is this crap?
The Magog in Justice Society was a straight shooter who might have been a bit naive, but was a hero. The guy in this book is a vigilante, pure and simple. His villains are pathetically underdeveloped, and it takes 6 issues to tell a story that really could have been told in 3. Then, to top it off, the last issue is just a rehashing of what came out in the earlier JSA Annual. Another issue is that even though this book is a spin-off of the JSA, Magog is still very identified with Kingdom Come. Fans picking up a Magog book might very well expect a tie-in to that great story. Nothing. No cameos by Nightstar or Red Arrow or anyone. Nada.
It was a boring, overlong story that seemed to have the sole purpose of getting Magog kicked out of the JSA. I know we're supposed to respect him as a former American soldier, but you don't sell comics on respect. You sell them because the fans like the character, and I gotta say, I did not like his character.
Now, what does the future hold for Magog? Well, unfortunately, not much. With issue 11, it was announced that Scott Collins was going to be taking over the writing and art on this series. He was even going to introduce characters like Annihilate from Kingdom Come. But with issue 12, the second issue of Scott's run, it was announced by DC that this title was cancelled.
I give the first arc of Magog's solo series a big thumbs down. Now, before I leave you, I have the sad duty of reporting that earlier this month, comic book issues, indeed the comic book community, lost a very good friend. We wrap up tonight's show with a farewell to a friend.